Hi everyone, welcome to Body Club. My name is Isidora. I'm a strength and movement coach, and today we are going to talk about how to optimize your squat technique. Now, there are certain reasons why we would want to do that. Squat is a pretty amazing exercise, and it involves the whole body, and also is a great way of us to assess our levels of mobility and of course strength. So first of all, this is going to be a little bit of a theoretical session. We are going to start with a little bit of information about what makes a good squat, and then after the first half of this video we are going to work towards specific drills in order to prepare our body and make sure that we know what exactly we are doing when we are performing a squat. This also applies to people of all levels, especially those that want to start improving the depth of their squat. So the reason why we would want to do that is because under certain depth of a squat, we start engaging the glutes and the quads even more, and we are also minimizing the shear forces that are applied on the anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments on the knee. So basically it's safer and it's going to be more effective. First of all, let's make sure that we know the three basic principles of what makes a good squat. And one is that the weight that we are bearing, whether this is a barbell, a kettlebell, or even our body weight, is meant to travel as close as possible to a vertical axis that runs from the center of mass. So let's imagine that our center of mass is our pelvic floor, and this is the vertical axis that runs in front of it. So ideally the weight I'm bearing should be moving along this vertical axis, or we could say that the center of my shoulder is aligned with it. So if I'm holding a kettlebell and I'm leaning way forward than this axis, then the stress placed on my spine is not the best. The second most important is that we want to move close to the ground, keeping a neutral spine. A neutral spine means we have a natural curve on our neck and a natural curve on our lumbar spine. So we are going to use this stick just to start understanding what this alignment looks like. We have 3 points of contact when we are in good alignment: the back side of the head, the point between our shoulder blades, and our sacrum. As I'm squatting down, if my spine rounds, I'm losing contact with the 1 point. This can happen through different parts of this, let's say, line of connection. I could either round my upper back, or round my lower back, or hyperextend my neck or my lower back. So none of this is optimum. What we are looking to do is keep a good alignment and travel as deep as we can, keeping our spine in contact with those 3 points of contact. Now the third principle, and possibly you all know that, is that we need to have a good kneecap alignment with our second and third toe. So again, I'm imagining 2 invisible axes running down from my hip bone, and ideally my knees should be tracking that line, whether my stance is a little bit turned out or whether my feet are pointing forward. So this, we're going to talk about how we can choose the optimum stance for us. Now the fourth and most important thing, and this is something that usually affects how the rest of the spine is going to act during a squat, is our ankle mobility. So we need to be able to have adequate amount of dorsiflexion, and also to make sure that our ankles are not collapsing down as we are moving closer to the ground. So anything that will look like that is not ideal, and the reduced amount of dorsiflexion is going to force us to shift our weight back, and we are not going to be able to go really deep, but we are going to work on that today too. So first of all, let's start talking about the spine. We are going to divide the spine in 3 parts, just so that everything makes sense. The first part, we are going to call it A. It is our thoracic spine, and it's going to be from the base of the skull all the way to the base of our shoulder blades. The second part we are going to call it B, and it involves the middle back and the lower back. And the third part is basically our sacrum with our last lumbar vertebrae, but we are going to refer to it as tailbone. So the three most common mistakes, if we remember how the stick along the spine looked like, are the shoulders move forward as we are squatting down. So this means that the part A, our thoracic spine, is rounding, is coming into flexion, and in order to overcome this, we need to extend. So this is something we need to do. The second most common mistake is as we go down, we tend to hyperextend our lower back. So our part B tends to hyperextend. In order to overcome that, we need to stabilize the core from the front and start working with two opposing forces. Part A wants to extend, part B wants to stabilize. And the third most common mistake is what we call the bat wing. So as we go deeper, our sacrum starts to tuck under. So this is something usually we start improving slowly, and first of all we adjust the depth to which we work our squats. So usually only go as deep as we can, as our sacrum, let's say, allows us before it starts tucking under. So we are going to talk about that too. Now, the most important is we are going to talk about the breathing pattern and how we can use our breath to stabilize our lumbar spine from hyperextension. Whenever we want to try and improve extension in the sternum, extension in the tailbone, we tend to flare our ribs out and put our lumbar spine into, let's say, danger a little bit. So we are going to use the breath by sinking the ribs down. As soon as we do that, we block that lumbar spine from over moving, let's say. So, really important. Let's practice our belly breathing. We are going to inhale in the belly, try to bloat it, and we will start exhaling. Let the breath do the job. And what we feel is that the ribs are sinking down firmly. One more time. Exhale, stand tall. Feel the ribs closing down and force that contraction. One more time. Ribs close down, lumbar spine secure. So, the reason why we do that is because, I'm going to skip that. Perfect, so, ribs close down, good contraction in the core, and we are ready to go. We are going to put all that together and start with our mobility drills. The first part we are going to work on, and everything will make sense, trust me, is our thoracic spine. I'm going to get into a half kneeling position. I'm going to take advantage of the time I'm spending in this position, and I'm going to work half of the drills having my toes tucked under, and half of the drills in this position, just to give my feet a little bit of time to work on those stretches. Now, let's take the moment and feel our two hip bones on our heels. And just stand tall. Imagine someone is pulling you from the crown of your head. Lovely double chin. Imagine you are gliding the backside of your shoulders towards an invisible wall. The same is happening with the backside of your head. From here, we will take a moment and observe our ribs and make sure that they are nicely sink down. At the same time, we still try to keep the shoulders and the backside of the head against that invisible wall. Now, the next drill is relatively simply. I'm going to extend my arms at shoulder width, and I'm going to push the stick as far away as I can from me, making sure I'm not elevating my shoulders, so shoulders stay in depression. And as I exhale, I'm going to sink my ribs down and try and pull that stick all the way back. Now, the most possible thing is, as I'm trying to pull the stick towards me, my ribs will want to flare out, and my lower spine, the part B of my spine, will want to hyperextend. So let's make sure that we are using those two opposing forces. One is blocking the part B of the spine down, and one is extending the part A of our spine. So let's do 6, 7 of those. This is not meant to be easy, so really bring intention into contracting the core. 3 more. Use the breath, don't be shy. Making a sound actually helps the contraction. Amazing, and you should be already feeling a little bit warm if all the intention was there. Now the second drill is going to be, I'm going to relax my toes, same position, feeling my spine upright. I'm going to bring my palms behind my head, and I'm going to exhale as I curl the part A of my spine, trying to connect my elbows in front of my head. And as I inhale, I'm going to send my shoulders down, and I'm going to try and push my elbows as far back as I can and look up towards the sky. Now in this phase, what is possibly going to happen is this. We are going to have the tendency to flare out our ribs, so we are going to work with the 2 opposing forces. Again, arms are going to go back, shoulder blades want to come close to each other, and with our intention, we will block the ribs down, stabilizing the part B of our spine and making sure we are actually isolating the part A and improving the ability to extend our thoracic spine without overextending our lower spine. So core is engaged, using the breath. Let's go for 5 of those. Use the sound, don't be shy, it really helps. And last one. Amazing. Let's relax, reset. Now we're going to work on thoracic rotations, again keeping that kneeling position. If this is too much for you and your feet are not feeling great, then you can come into this position. But if you can, also you could use a yoga block between your heels and your hips and just raise yourself a little bit. Make sure again you sink the ribs down and you feel the tension around the core. We are going to bring one arm against one knee, and we are going to depress the shoulder and try and reach towards the ground with that arm. So inhale, center, exhale, shoulder goes down, ribs. Amazing. At the same time, the opposite arm is going to open to the side. So I'm exhaling, depressing my shoulders, pushing against that inside, bottom knee. Making sure I'm exhaling and stabilizing my lumbar spine. Inhale down, exhale, depress, sink the ribs down. Now in this phase, take a moment to observe if you have shifted your hips only on one knee, and make sure you keep the weight distribution of your pelvis even above your 2 hips. So 2 sitting bones have the same weight over 2 hips. Inhale down, exhale, depress, sink the ribs, and fight to open by drawing the shoulder blade close to the spine, bringing your proud sternum out. So again, we are working on thoracic extension, trying to block as much as possible the excessive movement in the lumbar spine. So 2 more here. Try to follow this palm with your eyes, because this will ensure a good connection between your earlobe and your shoulder, meaning you're not going to keep your head forward. It's ideal that these 2 connect with each other. Amazing. Take a moment to reset, feel the weight distribution on the 2 hip bones, and let's go towards the other side. Sink the ribs down. Feel your core engaged. Depress the shoulder. Exhale. Inhale forward. Let's go for 5. putting maximum effort here. So as much as I can, I'm sinking the ribs down, and as much as I can, I'm keeping the shoulders away from my ears, trying to bring the shoulder blade close to the spine. And of course, from time to time, checking the weight distribution between my two hip bones. One last, and amazing. Perfect. Let's move on to the spine. Now we are going to work on a relatively simple movement, a cat-cow stretch. Again, this is optional. You can keep your toes tucked under or in this way. We are going to work on a cat-cow stretch, and we are going to start working on it segmentally. So kind of building the awareness to sense those three parts of the spine, moving one at a time and bringing movement to the spine as a whole. Now, the different thing we are going to do is we are going to time the exhale in both the end ranges of motion. So we will inhale passing from the neutral, exhale, sink the ribs down, draw the belly towards the spine, tuck the tailbone under and really pull the pubic bone as hard as you can towards your forehead. This is going to wake up your lower abs, we need them. And really flex. Inhale, start coming to neutral. Exhale, start extending the tailbone, extend the lumbar spine, extend the thoracic spine, bring your nipples ahead from your biceps as much as possible, and here exhale and feel the simultaneous contraction from the front. Try to resist that contraction getting you out of the extension. So again, I'm trying to get full extension of the spine and at the same time exhale and contract from the front. Inhale neutral, exhale flex, A, B, C, and inhale neutral. Exhale as you extend from tailbone, lumbar spine, thoracic spine, proud sternum. Let's go for 3 more of those. Inhale neutral, exhale flex. Inhale neutral, exhale extend. Inhale neutral, exhale flex. Inhale neutral, exhale, depress the shoulders, extend the thoracic spine. And last one, inhale neutral, exhale flex. Inhale neutral, exhale extend. Amazing, and relax. Now in this position we are going to set again our base of support. Make sure you sense the weight distribution between the two knees, it should be even. And we are going to start with something that looks relatively simple, and it's a simple rocking towards the back. So what we try to do is bring our hips close to our heels. This could be resembling as well our downward movement towards the ground, so our position towards a deep squat. If our hip, let's say, mobility is a little bit limited, usually what happens is we start rolling our tailbone under as we move closer to the heels. So what I would like you to do is find your neutral spine and start becoming aware of whether and when your tailbone starts tucking under. I strongly suggest you use a mirror for doing that. So giving yourself the awareness of when do I lose my ability to keep a neutral spine, at least in one part of my spine. And as soon as I detect what is this point, then I'm giving the opposite input a little bit, making sure I'm not hyperextending in the lumbar spine, so I'm timing my breath, contraction and extension. Now it's a subtle movement. You might not be able to see what is happening. It's more my intention of keeping the sacrum extended, sinking my ribs down, and basically not changing the shape, the natural shape of my spine as I'm moving closer to the ground. So proud sternum, start moving back. Now the good news about this position is you can play a little bit with the width of your knees. So some of us, and this depends a lot on our hip anatomy, might be able to move further down, keeping a neutral spine when their knees are a little bit wider. This is also an excellent drill for us to understand what is the optimum, the best stance for our body type in order to squat. So if you find that by keeping your knees a little bit wider, you can gain extra range of motion in terms of how deep you can go maintaining a neutral spine, then probably your favorite and optimum squat stance would be a little bit wider with feet pointing out. So this is also a great way for us to assess what is more comfortable for us. So let's go for 4 of those, making sure we exhale, sink the ribs down, keep the proud sternum, and try to feel and sense what is the point on which our tailbone tends to tuck under. Now, if let's say we do have the tendency to roll that tailbone down loads, one excellent drill is to stay down, let it be down, open the sternum, and as we exhale, sink the ribs down and try and extend the tailbone, making sure we don't hyperextend in the lumbar spine. So small movement, trying to only isolate the movement of the part C. And about 10-15 of those would be an excellent drill for your warm-up before a squat day, and or an excellent part of your movement routine. Now we are going to move on our feet, the base of support, last couple of drills, and then we are going to work towards the actual squat. Now really important, if by squatting down we feel that our ankles roll in and our toes tend to overly point out, and maybe we might feel the weight being released off the small toe, then it's time that we start working a little bit on lifting and improving the strength of the arches of our feet. So really simple stuff. I'm going to try and spread my toes as wide as I can. And I'm going to press my big toe down, and I'm going to imagine I'm pulling an invisible towel towards my heel. So as soon as I do this, my arches are lifted, and you might also observe that the ankle shifts a little bit sideways. So if my tendency is to collapse in my ankle, by lifting this arch, I'm bringing more alignment into the ankle. So we are going to use that little detail as well. Now, in terms of how I could practice it, I would spend and hold 15 seconds, 3 rounds of 15 seconds in my warm-up. Although, to be fair, I think it works wonder when we do it in things we would be doing in everyday life, like brushing our teeth, having a shower. These are the best moments I find, because I wouldn't want to have a separate workout just to strengthen my arches. So by doing other things that I would be doing anyway, I can bring my attention, intention and awareness and start building a little bit of that ability. And of course during our workouts. Now, let's start talking last bit about the ankle dorsiflexion, which is basically our ability to bring our knee ahead of our toes. This angle that we create between our shin and the foot needs to be quite small if you want to be able to have a nice deep squat with a proud spine. So, a couple of drills you can add in your warm-up. Make sure that the heel is glued on the ground. I'm going to inhale, get out of the stretch, and as I exhale, I'm going to lean forward. Now, during this moment, I will become aware if I have a tendency to collapse on my ankle, or if I have a tendency to point my foot out and miss my knee and toe alignment. So bring the foot in, lift the arch, and as you exhale, inhale out, exhale, stretch. Now I like to hold the stretch for as long as my exhale lasts, almost getting into a relaxed state for a moment to allow those tissues to lengthen. I'm going to work on 10 reps per leg, per foot, sorry. Combining with the breath. After 10 reps, I'm going to perform 5 circles towards one direction, making sure all the points of my foot are still in contact with the ground. So although my knee is moving in, I'm pressing my big toe down and not letting my foot lift. So 4 or 5 reps on each direction. Combining with the breath. And 4 or 5 reps towards the other direction. Amazing. Now this is our passive range of motion. I'm going to show on the other foot. So the passive range of motion is the angle we achieve by using our weight and the assistance of our weight to move our leg forward. This is called passive range of motion. Our ability to maintain this angle without any assistance from weight or ourselves pushing the leg down is called active range of motion, and it's basically achieved through the strength of the tissues around the joint. So we are going to make a little drill for it, leaning forward, finding the passive range of motion. This is going to be a little bit tough. Get ready for it. I'm going to tense my whole body, and as I exhale, I'm going to lift my foot off the ground and actively pull my toes towards my chest, trying to maintain the same angle I achieved with the passive drill. I will inhale, go down. Only 3 reps, max effort. If you feel any cramp doing that, get out of the position, loosen up your legs, your feet, and see if you can do one more round. And at some point, you will manage to do it without grounds, I guarantee. If you can't lift the foot off the ground, don't worry. Just the intention of bringing it off the ground is going to help as well. So let's do 2 more. Find the passive range of motion. Exhale, lift. Pull actively and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, relax. Reset, lean forward, find the passive range of motion. Exhale, lift and pull. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make happy thoughts, and that's it. Perfect. Now let's put everything together. Before any workout ahead that includes squats, I'm going through a process that I call squat love. So basically, I'm just spending time in this position. Don't worry about rules at the moment. Just imagine you're going to the toilet in nature. I know it sounds funny, but it's true. Just free yourselves up. If your heels want to be off the ground, don't worry at all. You can use your arms for some balance. Just start spending some time in this position. I kind of have the thought that I want to make space for my body in between my legs. So I might move around, I might use a little bit my elbows, stretch my neck. So nothing full of rules now, just free movement in the position. You might feel, oh, I like my legs a little bit wider, I like them a little bit narrower, it's all good. Now the second thing I start doing is lifting my arches. So in this position, I will push my toes down and try and pull them towards my heels, feeling my arches getting strong and waking up my feet. Activation. One last. Amazing. Now, if in this position your heels are off the ground loads and there's no way for you to put them down without falling back, then you can use something like a book or the stick or anything that is around that will allow you to lift your heels a little bit, and this hopefully will make things a little bit more comfortable. Now in this position we're going to start some drills. If at any point your shins burn awfully, make sure you get out, give yourself some rest. You will start building endurance soon in this position and things will get easier. Now the first thing that we are going to do, if we need the stick to lift the arches, we are going to use our heels, we are going to use it. If our heels can be down on the ground without us falling backwards, then let's stay on the ground this way. We are going to bring the elbows against the knees and keep our palms together like in a prayer position. Here we are going to extend the spine the same way we did on a cat-cow stretch, from the part C all the way to the part A, pulling the shoulders back, lovely double chin. We are going to exhale and sink the ribs down. making sure we are not hyperextending in the lumbar spine. So inhale, relax. Exhale, if your hips want to lift off the ground, quite loads for you to do that, please let them lift. Let's go for 6 of those. So shoulder, sternum, tailbone. This is not easy. So bring your intention into working with your core more than your legs. The core should work hard for a good squat. Let's do 2 more of those. And last one. Amazing. Now in this position we are going to add the thoracic rotations. We just worked on the previous drill. So make sure you again observe the alignment of your ankles. Make sure you are not collapsing in your arches. Pull the big toes down. Proud sternum, proud tailbone. Bring one arm down, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, reach down. And exhale, depress the shoulders, sink the ribs down, and try and open as far back as you can without shifting your weight on your pelvis or your feet. So keep everything 50-50. And let's go for 4 more of those. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sink the ribs down, depress the shoulders. Follow the palm with your eyes. And 2 more. And last one. Amazing. Other side. Reset your stance. Proud sternum, proud tailbone. Reach down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sink the ribs, depress the shoulders, and try and open. Inhale down, exhale, reach. 3 more. No, it's hard. I know your shins are burning. It's only 2 more. You got this. And last one. Amazing. Last little drill. If you need a break, please pause the video and sit down. Relax your feet. Grab the toes under. And as you exhale, try and really sink the ribs in. Connect your belly on your thighs and only straighten your knees up to the point where you still maintain this connection. If you straighten the legs more and you disconnect, you transfer the stretch on your lower back. In this phase, we want to prioritize a neutral spine and bring the stretch mostly on the legs. So inhale, proud squat, exhale. Inhale, proud squat. Proud sternum, exhale. 3 more of those. Inhale, proud. Inhale, transition. You can exhale in the position. Sinking the ribs down. Last one, inhale. Inhale, transition, exhale, stretch. Amazing. Relax. Roll your spine. Well done. I know this is really, really hard. Now we are going to put that into practice. We are going to work on 3 types of squats. The first one, I always do that as a warm-up. It kind of gives me the sensation of how my spine in alignment looks like. Is using the stick. If you are at home, you can use a broomstick. If you are using a gym, ask around because they might have something you can use. Now bring the stick along the spine. Make sure all the fingers are in front of the stick. So no finger between the stick and the bone. The bone is touching sacrum, shoulder blades, and backside of the head. And here we are going to start our bodyweight squat, making sure we are not hyperextended. How? Exhale. Sink the ribs down, keep them down. And start working and sensing. How does my spine feel? How deep can I go without losing any of those 3 points of contact, and how deep can I go before my ribs massively flare out? So keep that always on your mind. Play with the width of your stance. You might find that with a wider stance or toes turn out, you can go a little bit deeper, and always observe the arches of your feet. Let's go for 5 of those. Around 10-15 before your workout is a perfect warm-up. Last one. Amazing. Take a breath. Second version is going to be a prisoner squat, so bodyweight squat, where we put a little bit more effort into that thoracic extension, while at the same time we keep the ribs down. I can't stress that more. Again, 15. Let's do 10 of those, but you can do up to 15 for your warm-up. And sort your base of support, pull your big toes in, lift your arches. Make sure you gently push the elbows back, sinking the ribs down. Send your hips back and then bend the knees. And give those two opposing forces on the elbows, pushing back and the ribs sinking down as you go deep. Now your back muscles should be working loads. A squat is not just a leg exercise, it's a full body exercise. Everything participates. Let's go for 4 more. Last one. Amazing. Perfect. Relax, and we are going to perform this one. Last round, and you are ready to go with the kettlebell. Kind of trying to work on a goblet squat, making sure we know how everything feels, how we can tie all these details together. Again, strong feet, big toes pulling in, lift your arches, proud sternum, sink the ribs down, and try and align your elbows with your knees, making sure you only go as deep as your tailbone allows you. So make sure you try to understand if and when you tuck under, and just stay a little bit higher. 5 more. Two more. And last one. Amazing. And that's it. I hope you find it useful. After a couple of times, I know it might seem a little bit confusing. Go through the video a couple of times and you can see that at some point you can just skip all the theory part, go straight away to the mobility drills, and just use this video as a nice warm-up for your squat day. Thank you.